All right, are we still buzzing with energy over Kajabi's Backstage and all of the functionality that is giving us to work with high ticket, high end one-on-one clients? Well, this is the legal video. This is, if I could equate, stay with me for a minute, cliff jumping with a parachute, without a parachute. Cliff jumping seems like it is exciting. You're flying through the air. Like, this is just like the coolest thing ever. If I have a parachute, legal is the parachute in this instance. Cliff jumping, excitement, energy, thrilling, wonderful, Kajabi's Backstage. Parachute, what I'm about to tell you about. I'm Tamsen Horton. I'm an attorney. I have been running my own business since 2011 and making legal really easy to understand, looking at it from the lens of what am I trying to get done from the business aspect. That's the lens I have always approached legal with. So when I'm walking you through the purchase terms or the parachute that's going to help you, this is why, okay? This is why it really, really matters, because you're working so hard making these things. And I just want to make sure that you know, yes, they do need to be protected. And secondly, how we can actually get that done. Do I have your attention? All right. Bizlebox Fire Drills. This is the first one that we're going to run through, and the one that is coming into play happens to be from the Money on Fire bucket, and it is before a high ticket client agreement goes sideways. Okay, that's what we're working with today. Now, a fire drill. This is, for those of you that have been around forever, this is the same legal I have always talked about. However, it finally clicked in my brain that this could be an easier way to understand it in terms of before the fire shows up, we run the drill. School children, they run fire drills before there's ever a fire. There may never be a fire. So business fire drills are designed to do exactly that. They are designed to put into place the aspects that need to be in place such that when the alarm goes off, when we start seeing signals of, ooh, this is how that higher end one-on-one client, this is what it is sounding like, looking like, those alarm bells are going off, that you can come from a really solid place of knowing how to handle it, what needs to be done in all of those aspects. So the first thing that I want to start with, because what it's going to look like or sound like can be a variety of things. So the alarm in this instance is someone sends you a nasty email, or they want all their money back, or they leave a horrendous review. They reveal confidential or private information that should have stayed in the context of the high-end ticket. They ghost you. They don't pay. You know, those are the kind, that's what it looks like if a high-end person is going sideways. Okay, a one-on-one client is going sideways. So what you want to do is have what I am calling fire extinguishers. So one of the best fire extinguishers that you can have is purchase terms. So Kajabi releases Backstage, all the features, all the functionality, all the excitement. Fantastic, wonderful. And I then need to go in and make sure, because the functionality with Backstage is unlike functionality that we've had before in Kajabi, namely the ability to have a number of seats, but the way that it's really taking shape in my brain is picturing my dining room table. Now, my dining room table can hold 10 people. I'm a founder. I have 10 seats. It works really well. The table I'm sitting at right now would only hold probably 4 people comfortably. So with Backstage, for myself, I knew, okay, as long as someone has an active payment going, they have an active seat. But in most of my programs, because my one-on-one clients that truly I don't see ever not having them as a one-on-one client, they wouldn't even use Backstage. Like, they wouldn't log in. It's higher than that. Like, they wouldn't even use it. So they don't need a seat at the Backstage table. The other ones, and for myself, I will use an example of a program that for me runs about 18 months long. It's 8 payments. And so knowing that those seats are going to rotate, I knew my terms needed to be updated to reflect that. So that's a key piece. When you're looking at tech and functionality, when a new feature rolls out, you want to be going ding, 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 ding. I wonder, do I need to make an adjustment? All you have to do is remember this video. You don't have to go to law school. You don't have to figure it out. I just need you to know that that is an alarm that you need to train your ear to understand it is an alarm, because a lot of these are silent until they're really noisy. So this is my purchase terms. The link will be in the description of this video. Feel free, you can go there. And yes, you will see at the top of the page a metaphor that I have used for 15 years. And that is, if you wouldn't use my toothbrush, then don't copy and paste, because what I've customized, you could take on liability that you don't want, or you could inadvertently not have the coverage that you do need. So that is why I have that at the top, but please feel free, go through and look at them. You'll see they were just updated. They had to be updated because of Backstage functionality. So for those of you that are like, I just need to know what you would have changed, I'm going to start with the Backstage. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Oh, where's Backstage? Right here. So this right here where it says platform access Kajabi Backstage, this is also okay to have in your terms. When you're using a specific platform, I can name this. This is not a case where I'm jumping tech here, there, and everywhere. People that are purchasing this are going to understand that terminology. So that is completely fine. You can always include that for that. Now, the way that I am structuring Backstage, again, one of the best parts of Kajabi and why I came on board back in 2015 was I could understand the vision of we're building in Lego blocks. And as a mom of 2 boys, we have lots of Legos in our house. How we put together the Lego block, how we use it, should be ideal for a variety of people using it in different ways. So for myself, one of the ways that I know I will use Backstage is a rotating seat. If I have 10 people at a table and more want to come on, I'm gonna at some point be moving, the 10 people away from the table. And to me, this is where a dining room table makes a lot of sense, because at my own personal dining room table, I don't have the same people in the same seats for every single time we are eating. Sometimes it is myself and my 10-year-old. Sometimes it is our whole family. Sometimes it is myself, a child, and their friends. Sometimes it is a neighbor. So that to me in my brain was like, okay, I understand how I'm going to use it, because how I'm going to use it must be reflected in legal. Again, cliff jumping is great with a parachute. I'm not cliff jumping. I am not about to sell a high-end anything. I wouldn't sell low-end either. But for sure, I'm not selling a high-end offer without I want a parachute, and I want a good parachute, and I want to know it was packed correctly, and there's no holes in it, and we can enjoy cliff jumping and be safe while we're doing it. So here, the key pieces that I wanted to make sure was active payment, you get an active seat. Now, if there's plenty of seats at the table, they could stay. That's at my discretion. I also wanted to give them a wind down period such that when their payment stops, they have 30 days to get their stuff out of Backstage. Now, the functionality of Backstage could change. How they're able to get content out could change. I would obviously be telling them about this, the wind down period when they're coming in the front door. So you're doing that consistently, but you're thinking through what is going to happen after wind down. So you have a seat as long as there's payment. During the wind down period, if you want anything that's in there, you need to get it out of there. After the wind down, they don't have access. Okay. So I'm clearly putting that into the terms. This did not exist 72 hours ago. This did not exist. The rest of the terms existed, which we will go through. And don't worry, we're not going to read a whole contract, but I do want to highlight for those of you that are like, oh, I'm not sure I have terms. I'm not sure I have all of those pieces and things that now I'm talking about. You're in a perfect spot because now you have time to take care of the fire drill before the fire happens. So I keep my individual and my group appointments together because in the last 3 years, I could see, like most of us, I could see the packaging was changing. I could see it needed to be profits beyond courses. And people were like, well, my course is still selling. Like, Tamsen, you're wrong. I was like, I'm not saying that what you are saying is not going to sell anymore. I'm telling you the packaging's changing. Well, hello. AI has made the containers look completely different. So I had already created what I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, far more fluid containers. And I didn't want I don't want 37 purchase terms flying out there in the world. So this was an easy way based on the nature. So if you provide many different ways of packaging how you think, what you do, who you serve, that kind, this stuff, I like to try and keep it with the lowest common denominator of contracts floating around in the world. They're easier to maintain. Okay. They're just easier to maintain. So for when I'm working with people, you're like, okay, there's access to content. There's access to me. There's asynchronous messaging. There's live video calls. There's audio drops. There's calendars. There's canceling. There's not canceling. There's things that are shared, confidentiality, all of those pieces, they were similar enough. So mine live together. And when you're putting together purchase terms, a contract, ideally, you should never need it. Ideally, you never need it because you clearly state the expectations, which is all this is. It's just, there's nothing magical about it. It's not magical. It's just words on a sheet of paper done in certain orders. They mean different things. But when you lay out the expectations ahead of time, ideally, when a disagreement comes up, when friction arises, it's going to. Humans are involved. The world is involved. Like there is friction because there just is. But we can minimize that and we can think through, the best time to do the fire drill is before there is a fire. Ta-da! I love it. So parties is who is obligated to this document. You want this to be your business. You want it to be the person that's buying. You also want to make sure that what constitutes acceptance, that is an important quality in the law. It's an important requirement in the law. You can't hold somebody to something if they never accepted it. So that is important. And it's more and more important, I find, to really describe what is within the scope, what is not within the scope. Now, one way to do this is referencing the sales materials. Now that's going to change all the time, but you will see here, right here, let's see if I can highlight it. There we go. This is one of the ways that I can keep a document and have it apply. There might be 4 or 5 active offers going at a time. Kajabi is keeping track of not just what offer they buy, but what time they bought it. I can keep track of, sales pages and all of those types of things. So in the event that there was a very high friction disagreement, I've got the digital footprint, but this is one of the ways that I do it. Now, for myself, I have to be really, really clear. This is not attorney-client privilege. You may be operating a business where there's a similar type of professional privilege at play. Usually health, finance, law, those are the biggies. But if you have something that is specific to what you do, then you want to make sure that you're including that, okay? This is not attorney-client privilege. This is similar to if you went into a store and bought a book off the shelf. If you bought if we could make a kit that you could buy off the shelf that anyone could buy, I have to make sure that that's very, very clear. Now, the other piece when you're working with clients, and this will be tailored, which is again why feel free, look at the terms, use the terms, ask me questions, but don't use my toothbrush. Just don't. That's just, you don't want to use my toothbrush because I've tailored these to me. That's key. They are tailored based on my offers, my business, what is going on. So I've always been very fluid. I started the business with one baby, literally months old. I gave birth to my second baby 3 weeks after New Kajabi released in November of 2015. So I have had to cancel things truly, like as the Zoom call is loading and something has happened and sorry, I'm out of here. So I have always been very fluid, very gracious when it comes to cancellations. I give what I need to receive from people, which is grace. If I do need to cancel, I extend that. But I also know I need a container such that it's very, very clear so that, if someone cancels, I don't want them coming back 3 years from now and saying, oh, well, remember that thing you canceled and now I want to reschedule it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Which, completely side note, but my 10-year-old today hasn't played a certain, it's a game on the iPad, hasn't played this game in a couple of years because it completely scammed the kids out of all their tokens and their credits, and they had bought stuff and they just disappeared. And I said, that's it. I'm not paying any more money for this game. It was 2 years ago. All of a sudden this morning, Tad is incredibly upset that all his stuff is gone. And I'm looking at him like, what are you talking about? We had this discussion 2 years ago, buddy. Yes, all your credits are gone. Yes, it's a scam. No, you're not getting more. But you don't want to have that with you do not want to be doing that with your clients. No. Now, confidentiality, this again is an area that is going to keep evolving and an area that I have updated in that I don't even know. I don't know off the top of my head what Kajabi's using for AI inside the system. I know they're turning on a bunch of things. I know I'm about to get access to MCP. Cannot wait. I want to make sure, and all of us should be doing this, okay? This doesn't matter if it's a high end, a low end, anything in between. We just need to be clear with people we're using AI. Even if we don't know we're using it. If you're using Kajabi and you click on co-founder, you're using AI. It's in there. So this is where it's really important to say, look, I am doing my very best. I'm not intentionally disclosing things. I'm not intentionally doing whatever. But I also am a part of certain areas where we meet in person and our phones go in Faraday bags. So when you're online and I'm, the call replays for Backstage, those are getting processed. Those automated summaries, those are getting done. Now, none of it is ill-intentioned. However, you just want to be really, really clear because it takes one. And if you're in business long enough, you will have a persnickety client. You will have a persnickety client, and you will realize the hole in the wall they crawled through, and you will plug that hole, but you will still have that persnickety client until you can get rid of them. This is to help for the people that for some reason go completely ballistic because you did something with AI. So you need to have that in there. I also link it to my privacy policy page, which I need to go in and change the color because for whatever reason people don't know that it's there. But all of your documents if you have not updated them in 2026, they really must be updated because of AI, because of what's going on. So we're not going to read my privacy policy. I just needed to get down here to all things legal. So the legal page summary, this is also a really good way to not have to clutter up your footer. So all things legal, you can see in my URL, it's just tamsenhorton.com/legal information. I would just if you want to steal a URL, I would just do domain.com/legal. However, that's hindsight being 2020, and I would break links if I changed it for myself. So mine says legal information. If I were to make it today, I would have it just be domain.com/legal. But here is where I can put links to the cookie policy, the accessibility statement, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the user-generated content policy, the website disclaimer, the earnings disclaimer, the privacy policy, and the terms of use. Now, terms of use are my public-facing terms. Those are not purchase terms, which are private-facing. They're between you and the buyer. So when you are putting together, I don't want to list out all of those things. However, it would be reasonable if someone was like, oh, I wonder what else she has in here. They can click on it and it takes them directly where they need to be. The reason you have to update those, and I updated my own, you can see I did it in, I think, December, is that AI has changed the game. Personally identifiable information, being very clear on where it is and what you can do with it. I do have, separate from Business Fire Drills, the legal bundle generator. Very proud, very, very proud of my legal bundle generator, especially for Kajabians, because it generates the entire page. It generated this legal page for me. And all I have to do is take code and put it in a custom code block on a landing page, and it's done. So legal pages that used to take even me a number of days for, my husband, his still wouldn't be done. The legal bundle generator is available, and I am so proud of the legal bundle generator. Use it myself. That's why that stuff is important here. Some of you do work for hire, meaning I do this in a way, especially if I'm doing branding or naming. because the names that I come up with, I should not, I'm being paid for the idea. I do not get to register the trademark. I do not get to do that part of it. So when you're doing work in that instance, you just want it to be clear. Now, for most of my clients, that isn't, a part of it, which doesn't matter if it's in there. Not transferring intellectual property, that's pretty standard. Professional expectations, very standard. Termination, really, you quit paying and you're out of here, but you could also breach any of the things that are in here. Having your payment, this, again, because I need it to go across a variety of offers, I have it reference right here. Oh, nope. Here we go. I have it be pricing and duration of appointments may vary and is chosen by buyer at the time of purchase. So that allows it to travel amongst a variety of offers. So refunds for high ticket clients, more so, yes, the price is there. Yes, you want to protect that. Yes, you want to be clear on the expectations. Getting an email that says, I want you to refund $50,000 tomorrow morning. Those are not fun emails. You don't want to do that. But even more so, there is a very real, I find, real facts and circumstances where, again, necessitate being able to work with people. These are people you're likely going to work with in a variety of capacities over the years. So what you see on mine, and I modeled it after, honestly, the cruise payment plans. My in-laws love to cruise, and so the boys and I will go with them on cruises. Chris does not like cruises, so he stays home with the dogs. But it's very clear, if you cancel this many days before the cruise, here's the amount. This many days, here's the amount. This many days, here's the amount. So it's not an exact science in terms of I'm going to take this here and apply it there, but it's not the Costco refund. It's not the come in anytime for any reason and we'll just give you everything back. You're not Costco. So there is no right magical pixie dust either for payment or for refunds. The right refund and payment is what you can enforce, what you have no problem articulating, what you are clear as day. People will push up against it, and then you just have to know, no, here is the policy. So it has to be workable, and it has to be fitting in alignment with who you are and how you're running the business. Because for most of us, even if there are yourself, maybe you're running with a spouse or a family member, maybe you have a few employees, it's still a really what I'd call, close business. So it has to be workable for us. The woman at Costco who was lovely, who returned my mop last week, she does not care that my mop was returned. She is not close to that at all. So this is how I've structured it. And I share that more to just give you ideas that you're like, oh, full refund, no refund. Somewhere in the middle is an ideal situation for you. Think through it, but have a way that it is calendar and mathematically possible. That is key, because it's really hard to argue with a calendar and a mathematical formula. That's what you want to do. We're trying to avoid arguments. Maybe that's why I'm good at this, is because as a mother, I'm just constantly trying to avoid the arguments. Like, just avoid peace. I just want peace, please. recurring payments, we already touched on platform access. That's the portion that I just added for Kajabi Backstage. Chargebacks and payment security. We will be doing a fire drill on this soon to come. The controlling agreement, meaning this agreement controls not the emails, not the text messages, not the voice memos. What is on this document is what we're fighting, is what we're using if a disagreement comes up. This is the entire agreement, limitation of liability. This is always important. Again, you want to have as much as possible calendar and mathematical solutions so that anyone reading it would understand. Force majeure, thank you pandemic. We now include that. Disclaimer of guarantees. Choice of law. This is important. If there is a disagreement, we're going to handle it in Michigan. We are not going to handle it where the person lives, where that's not going to happen. So you want to make sure that you are specifying where disagreements take place should the need ever arise. I would recommend have it be in your metaphorical backyard. Survivability, that's a tongue twister, and severability. Yes, the agreement lives on. Yes, if severability, if the court would say this entire paragraph, like this, you can't have this paragraph. Okay, then just take the black Sharpie to that paragraph and the rest of it stays. I will then also include the CTA when I make the Kajabi page, and upload a copy of the terms here. So they can absolutely, if they want to download a copy, they can. But I also keep track of where the purchase terms live, and I will show you that. Digital infrastructure. It is basically keep track of your work. When you are running a digital business, we have landing pages, offers, email sequence, coupon codes, lessons, ideas, like you name it, it's everywhere. So this is digital infrastructure. I happen to use Notion because to me, Notion is content infrastructure. This is one of my databases. And when I say keep track of it, it's so that here I can come in, here's the purchase terms right here. Here's the URL. I can get it right there. If I need to make any notes on it, if I need to link it to an offer, all of that, this is where it keeps track of everything for me so that one, I'm not wasting time, but more importantly, I stay accurate because I got a lot going on, a whole lot going on. So I always recommend, if you don't yet have digital infrastructure, you need digital infrastructure. I do have North Pole to New York City digital infrastructure that you are welcome to take a look at. And if it looks like something that would help you, you are welcome to buy it. But that is how I keep track of the page. Now, for the fire drills, because you may or may not need this fire drill. I don't know. But you can go onto this page. It'll also be linked in the description. So Bizlebox Fire Drills. Again, the best time to do a fire drill is before the fire. That's the best time. Right here, it'll say find out which drills you need the most. You click this button and there are 11 questions, and we're just going to, for sake of this video, I'm going to just choose the bottom one on all of these. But as you're answering the questions, then the quiz is going to tell you of the 30 identified fire drills, what needs to be your priority, because not everything can be on fire at the same time. So this one, my top priority based on how I answered, again, I'm just clicking through on those. You watched me. Before a high ticket client agreement goes sideways, voila, this video. Number 2, before a refund request turns into a bigger problem. 3, before a chargeback hits. And then also on my radar should be before a payment processor holds my money or before an installment plan goes sideways. So the fire drills, and on this page, you'll also see there's a list of all 30. Okay, there's different buckets of the fire drills. I have worked really, really intentionally. Again, for those of you that have been around, this is the same. It's the same Bizlebox. It's improved Bizlebox, but it's done in such a way that to me, as a business owner, even though I created it, the fire drills make sense because it's like, oh, before there's a fire, yes, I want to run the fire drill. I have fire, smoke alarms in the house. I have fire extinguishers in the house. The boys' Kip practices fire drills at school. Have they ever had a fire drill? Have they ever had a fire? No. So it makes sense. And they are in different areas. So fire drills, cliff jumping, parachutes. We just live in an exciting world over here as business owners. That we do. So this is the legal video that goes with the other backstage videos that I have done. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or thoughts you would like to share with me, use the comments. I would love to talk with you. And I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you jump off the cliff with Backstage. And please, oh please, have a really good parachute. I'll see you again soon. Bye.